I'm ready. Okay.
Heroes are not born, they are made. Either through one single act of courage, such as a pilot named Sully, who landed a plane in a river and saved hundreds of lives, or a man that was lieutenant in the British Army that had two separate military careers by the name of Lieutenant George Washington. At 22 years old, he was serving in Fort Cumberland under General Braddock. And as his lieutenant, he had a suggestion for the general. He knocked on the general's door. Everybody, knock on your door. Enter. Sir, I have a suggestion. What is it, Mr. Washington? I have noticed that when we engaged the French and Indians, and this is during the French and Indian War, they hide behind bushes, they hide behind trees. When we march down the columns, we march in columns down the street, and then when we engage in battle, we're still in columns. What easy targets, sir? I suggest that we hide behind bushes and trees while we're in battle. Mr. Washington, the British Empire did not gain the greatest army in the world by hiding behind trees or hiding behind bushes. No, sir. We shall maintain the discipline and procedures that we followed that has enabled us to become the greatest army in the world. Is that understood? Yes, sir. Dismissed, Mr. Washington. Braddock is given command to take 1,500 British soldiers, 500 Virginia regulars, some Indians to help guide, to go up to Fort Duquesne, take possession of the fort. A couple of miles out, they get attacked by 900 French and Indians. They hide behind bushes and trees. Bullets, bam, 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 bam. Arrows. It's complete craziness. Everyone is running around trying to defend themselves. The General Braddock is given commands, and Washington feels a bullet through his hat. The battle continues. Bam, 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 bam. Washington feels a bullet through his jacket. A horse gets shot from under him. Yay! Down the horse goes. Washington has to get off the horse, run across the battlefield, get on another horse, and continue the battle. Within the first couple of hours, half of those 2,000 men are shot down and severely wounded. It's complete chaos. There is another horse shot from under Washington. The bullets are flying everywhere. The arrows are flying everywhere. Complete chaos. The men are so afraid that some of them throw down their guns and flee. Others can't quite tell who the enemy is and shoot their own man. Finally, they have to retreat. That night, Washington writes in his journal, "I've never been so ashamed of the conduct of the British Army." He learned two valuable lessons that night that would become important later in his second military career. He learned the value of guerrilla warfare, and he also learned that the British were vulnerable. That night, he has an aide to help him put his clothes away. That's one of the advantages about being an officer. The aide says, "Sir, you've got 3 bullets in your jacket. How in the world did you survive?" That's amazing. The rumors started going around about the courage of this Lieutenant George Washington. The rumors went around that he'd been killed and had given a very eloquent death speech. He had to write a letter to his brother, "I'm not dead, I'm not dead." Finally, years pass. 15 years later, 1755. Has changed to 1770. Washington is still in the British Army, and he's given me new instructions. Go to Ohio, divide up lots of land, and we're going to give it to the veterans of the French and Indian Wars as a thank you and payment for their participation. On the way, an Indian trader stops the group and says, "I have a great war chief that wants to meet George Washington. Whatever for, it's his business, sir." So they gather around the campfire, Washington and his guys, the great Indian chief and his guys. The Indian chief has a translator. He stands up and says, "I was there 15 years ago. I told my warriors, kill that man. Aim your muskets, shoot that man. He knows the Indian ways of fighting. And my men, bam! 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 Could not hit you. I told my warriors, aim your arrows, shoot that man, kill that man. They could not get you. I am old, and soon shall be gathered to the great council fires of my fathers in the land of shades. But ere I go, something bid me to speak in the voice of prophecy. The Great Spirit protects that man and guides his destinies. He shall become a great chief of nations, and a people yet unborn shall hail him as the founder of a mighty empire. Washington wrote down all kinds of things in his journal. Nothing in the journal about that. But a person that was there, David Craig, documented it. You may wonder, how in the world does a guy become a great chief of nations? For you that enjoy history, you may remember that the 13 colonies each considered themselves an individual nation. The nation of Georgia, the nation of New York, the nation of Virginia. When George Washington began his second military career and became General George Washington of the Colonial Army, he became a great chief of nations. Washington testified in front of the Congress that he had counted 57 times that his life or the lives of his men had been preserved by divine intervention. Washington gained a reputation for courage in a battle. Heroes are not born. They are made by a single act of courage or by the way they live their lives. And that is the story of Lieutenant George Washington. Thank you.